Hello. Yeah, this is a different voice, but I mean, it's not different. It's Act-Down 07. This is Techbytes 35. I would have said drum rolls, but that's real. It's not me. But please clap for us. There, clap for us. But yeah, this is Techbytes 35. I mean, on Techbytes, as you know, we have conversations on news, tech analysis, reviews, and we have very, very insightful conversations, interviews with popular key stakeholders in the space. We have conversations about the latest happenings in the space just to bring you the juiciest part of it. And I will not be doing this alone, as always. I have here with me Rui. Hi, Rui.
Are you finished? Yeah, Omole. I don't know why he's calling me Rui.
Okay, sorry. Hi, Omole. Well, it's the same
That's
thing.
how he used to do.
How was your week?
My week. Let me see. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I recorded events that happened during the week, except the trauma I had when I had the sub accident. Sub accident. So I was having dreams about how I'll have an accident.
Village people were following you.
They can't succeed.
All right. For our conversation today, we'll be talking to a very, very big person in the space, and we'll be talking about African tech guys, expansion, startup, business. These are just keywords from the entire conversation. So if you want to get the full gist, stay till then. But before then, we have to go around the world of tech in 10 minutes. So Rui, take us there.
That is supposed to be Damin's job, but yeah. We'll go on. So the first one is crypto investors lose over $103 billion dollars in theft in April alone.
Mad.
April alone. That's a lot of money. So the
People have money.
So the second quarter of the year did not start well for crypto investors, as CETIC, that's an analysis firm, reports that over $103.6 million was stolen by crypto scammers in April. What came to my mind when I was reading is that the value of dollars is reducing, and there are some countries that are conspiring to make sure that the value reduces. So I'm like, it's a lot of money, but the value
it's not small. I just need 1% of that.
So yeah, this is considered a positive start. I don't know why it's positive, but
I think it used to be higher. In Q1 2022, it was about $1.3 billion that was lost. That's massive. Like, this is like 10% of that.
Exactly.
So
but this is just
positive.
April, which is a lot. It's just 1 month, so it's still a lot of money. So yeah, moving on. Nomba raises $30 million, to drive tailor-made payment solutions for African businesses. As he said, I would have said drum rolls, but the people at the back, his name is Emmanuel. So in case you want to know who it is, it's Emmanuel. He never does the drum rolls. So yes, Nomba is making the numbers. Rhyme scheme. Nomba is a payment service platform that provides accessible and affordable financial services to both banks and unbanked individuals, and has recently raised $30 million in a pre-Series B investment round. Now, Nomba intends to utilize this fresh capital injection to bolster its efforts to offer African businesses tailor-made payment solutions. The funding round was spearheaded by Base 10 Partners, a San Francisco-based investment firm. So the round has raised the company's valuation to over $150 million. Now, I know that I was talking about, I was reading, or I even wrote about unicorns in Africa and across the world rather, and we had only one unicorn in Q1 2023, and that was the MNT Haaland. I think we said something about MNT Haaland in one of our episodes, which is an Egyptian firm. So it's now valued at $1.01 billion, and that's across the world. That was the only company that got to that unicorn status.
We're getting there. In 2021 we had like 5 or so.
So this has been the lowest. It was 7 last year. I think it was 7 last quarter also. So I'm not too sure now, but this is a significant drop, in number of unicorns that we've had. And Africa, is leading the way.
It's a good one for Nomba. I mean, they started as Kudi AI.
Yeah.
I used to confuse them, then Kudam.
True. We did that.
They did a massive rebranding last year or so, changed the Nomba, and they even changed their model as well. What they started was just to respond on social apps, but now they are like an omni-channel for payments. So it's a good one. Kudos, guys.
Kudos
Keep
to
innovating.
Nomba. Keep making numbers. Yeah. So moving on. You no longer need your passwords to sign into your Google account.
Amen.
Google Next Step. I know Google has been talking about a passwordless future. And now they have announced the passkeys. Now, a passkey is a new type of login credential that allows you log into sites and services without having to enter a password. Now, this is coming. The passkey system is coming on all Google accounts on all major platforms. Now, starting Wednesday, that was 2 days ago. Google users could now switch to passkeys and ditch their passwords and 2FA, that's the two-step verification codes, entirely when signing in. Now, so passkeys they're safer and more convenient, and they're a better alternative to passwords, and they're being pushed by Google, Apple, Microsoft, and other big tech companies. So I don't need all that.
Yeah, that's
system.
A good one, Sha.
So because okay, let me not say this about my password before you go.
Well, it's good. They're taking privacy serious. People forget passwords a lot. People just drop them anywhere that is easy to access for our cars and all of that. So
I have a password a save password, like an app rather, where I save all my passwords.
But
at some point I'm like, all my passwords are here. If they hack this place, that's the end.
So passkeys, I mean, Face ID, we thought we were done when Face IDs and Touch IDs came. I mean, those were biometrics which cannot be changed. But I mean, I think passkeys will take it a step further.
Yeah,
it's a good one.
Kudos to Google. We hope other companies take the same step. So now, Discord is making everyone pick a new username. Discord is growing, so yes.
Amen.
You have to grow with Discord. Anyway, Discord is taking away the 4-digit tag that it puts after usernames, as it looks to make it easier to connect with other users. In a blog, Discord said that this change will force most users to change their usernames, of course, as Discord no longer have the 4-number tag that distinguishes one person with the same username from another. So the fact of this, that instead of having a 4-number discriminator appended to your username,
074947,
you will now have a unique alphanumeric username with the @ symbol in front of it. So Agdown,
so I've done it since. I don't know.
Well, they're growing, as I said.
It was one of the things that made Discord boring. You want to ask someone for Discord name, and you have to be noting down the numbers. It's stressful.
Instead of just saying Agdown,
exactly.
You have
0152, and it's always numbers you did not pick. They picked it for you. So I beg.
Anyway, so you also get to choose a non-unique display name that can include special characters, emojis, spaces, and non-Latin characters, making the platform a lot more like other mainstream social networks like Twitter,
moving for a net space,
Instagram.
So from net space to now normal social media.
So again, as I said, they are growing. So yes, this one is very local and very personal to many of us who understand it. Buhari's declaration overrides new telecom tax policy. So a tax policy was announced by the Ministry of Finance earlier this week, but the Ministry of Communications, led by Professor Issa Pantami, has said no. Hold on. So he said, he has insisted that the proposed 5% excise duty on telecom services will not be implemented. So yes, you're not going to start paying 15 naira for SMS.
If I talk, because they've been on this back and forth for some months now. First,
I understand. Ministry of Finance and
they said they were going to do it. Then the president set up a committee.
Pantami went to the president and be like, "No, this is not good."
Yeah, the president set up a committee,
take out the telecom,
and they brought out a fiscal policy measure, blah blah blah. Just they brought it out, and they were like, "Okay, we're not going to do it again." And everybody was like, "Hey, hooray!" That was just 2 weeks ago, and now just this week, finance minister was like, "It's going to be implemented." Then communication is like, "No, it's not going to play." What? Okay, I wanted to say it's the same thing like CBN and Supreme Court during the Naira.
No, so these ones are two ministries who are supposed to be communicating on issues like this. It's supposed to be in communication, on issues like this. When you are sending emails, they should be in communication. They should understand. Not that one person is saying this, the other one is saying this. Anyway, so reacting to the fiscal policy measure document recently released by the Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, which listed the telecom tax as part of measures to be implemented this year, Professor Pantami. In a statement released on Wednesday, all Nigerians and telecom industry stakeholders to disregard the policy documents.
So forget about it.
Interesting. So the minister recalled that President Buhari had on March 21, 2023, approved the exemption of the telecom sector from the proposed excise duty in line with the recommendations of the Presidential Review Committee on Excise Duty in the digital economy sector. So the document from the Finance Ministry also claimed that the fiscal policy measures which included the implementation of the telecom tax were approved by the president. So all of them are referring to the president. So, so who are we going to? But I think we'll just go with the Ministry of Communications because they are the they are the authority here.
All right.
So telecom sector, no. Nigerians, no. We are not paying 15 naira for SMS. I don't know. I keep saying 15 naira. I don't think it's
Is that the number? Is that the amount you pay?
I don't think it's get as high as that. But right. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rui. Hope you guys learned a thing or two from our news around the world of tech. Now it's time to go into the interview section. So, booyah.
Yeah, so our conversation for today is themed African expansion, the pros and challenges for African founders. In recent years, there's been a surge of African entrepreneurs and startups, expanding beyond their home countries into other African markets. And this trend is, driven by a growing consumer market, increased access to funding, and the desire to capitalize on untapped business opportunities. Africa is really a big market. However, the potential for African expansion is enormous. There are also significant challenges that African entrepreneurs and businessmen and the African founders, have to face when trying to expand their businesses. On the positive side, the African continent is home to over 1.3 billion people. That's a lot. And making it a huge potential for huge potential market for African entrepreneurs. The African middle class is a growing one, with an estimated 34% of the population expected to be classified as middle class by 2025. As we said, this presents a huge opportunity for African founders or African businesses to target a growing consumer base and expand their reach beyond their home countries. We know about the AfCFTA, agreement that was signed in 2018, which aims to create a single market for goods and services. And this, that agreement alone, could further give access to African founders. So to talk about the pros and cons of expansion beyond home countries, we have Dr. Babatunde Obrimah. I hope I pronounce that name well. Dr. Babatunde Obrimah is the Chief Operating Officer of Fintech Association of Nigeria. He is a fintech enthusiast and a multi-skilled individual with working experiences spanning the banking sector, non-bank financial services sector, financial consulting services, project management, and public sector. His professional career commenced at First Bank Nigeria PLC and worked in various banks during his banking career. He serves on the board of various fintech companies, holds a doctorate degree in business administration, an MBA, BSc, MSc in agronomy, and he has certifications in project management. He has attended many courses, including one on digital transformation at MIT. That's a profile. Hello, doctor.
Afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you again for joining us. So we'll just get into it. First question, usually the obvious one. What are some of we know that in recent years, as I mentioned earlier, people are expanding their businesses. Nomba raised
30 million.
Yeah, 30 million dollars. They are looking at expanding. We know that Flutterwave keeps,
trying to expand into Kenya.
So there are a lot of companies are actually expanding their frontiers. They are going beyond, beyond their local markets, and they are looking at expanding. Even some of them are going beyond Africa.
Yeah, going to Asia, Pakistan.
Yes, India. So what are the benefits, for expanding a business in Africa for African founders? What do they see, and what do they stand to gain, from their expansion plans?
Okay, even with your introduction, with 1.3 billion people, that's a huge market. So, And when you see opportunities, why won't you go there? I mean, it's just business. It's just a business principle. So I think that what people are seeing are opportunities, and they are moving into those markets to take advantage of those opportunities in those markets. I think it's Professor David Wade that said, if I build it, will they come? So if you build what people need, of course they will come, they'll patronize you. And I think those are the opportunities that people are seeing, and the market is big. And when you consider that we have over 400 million people yet to be to the formal financial sector in Africa, that poses a huge opportunity. I mean, although I'm one of those who feel that when you talk about financial inclusion, I'm not sure that anybody in Africa is financially excluded. They might not be in the formal sector, but but really, when you go to, there's no village in this Nigeria that you go to that you don't have a guy or a woman who collects money on behalf of everybody,
Hmm.
and they all contribute on a
True, no
daily
joke.
basis.
Yeah.
And at the end of the what's if you want to borrow, you go back to that same person to borrow. So there's a financial system that works. I think what we have not been able to do is, how do we bring those people that the people trust? So it's about trust. I mean, so you find that this people in those communities, they trust those particular individuals, and it's those individuals that should be the target to bring them into the financial sector and also to get them in. So I think that people are financially, I mean, inclusive. It's just that they might not be in the formal sector. So how do we work on that? So I think that those are the opportunities. And for fintechs, I mean, that's a huge opportunity. How do you bring those guys and those ladies into the space, because those are the people that the communities trust. You can speak a million and one English and language, their local language. They will not listen to you. They only listen to that person. I
Hmm.
mean, I've worked a bit in the public sector. We work with agri people. Look, there are people in communities who banks are the closest bank is like 3-4 hours away, and everybody gives these people their ATM. So the guy goes with like 30 or 40 ATM cards, I mean debit cards, to the ATM machine to withdraw money for everybody. He knows everybody's PIN, you know,
Hmm.
and it's safe, so it's cheaper for them to contribute. I mean, agency banking is trying to reduce some of those challenges, but that in itself is also a problem. But I mean, I don't think that's part of the discussion we have for today. But I think that it's important.
Yeah.
That's the opportunities that people have. I
Yeah.
mean, look, developing solutions, you see opportunity, leverage on it. And it's not just fintechs. I mean, Nigerian banks are also expanding. Other African banks too are trying to expand because there are opportunities. And
And it
if you have a
becomes bigger.
solution that works,
Yeah.
well, why won't you go there?
Hmm. This changes my perspective on financial inclusion. You know that me and I'm like, a lot of people are financially excluded. So when African founders are screaming financial inclusion, I'm like, please, can we hear what? Because I'm not
No, they
seeing it.
actually changed.
But this changes my perspective on
Yeah,
it
they
now.
changed the tagline after some time from financial exclusion to putting the world in your hand or something like
Ah,
that. All right, so moving on. When you were talking, you talked about the local knowledge of the villages of those places and all of that. And it's not just Africans that know about the potential of Africa in terms of growth for a business.
yeah.
We have foreign guys who are also trying to tap into this market. You have foreign fintechs, foreign everything, medtech, health tech,
Yeah,
wealth
legal
tech,
tech,
legal tech,
insurtech.
agri. Everybody is trying to just tap in because Africa is said to be the next big thing. The
Yeah,
next
I think it's already
frontier.
the next big thing.
Yeah, the next frontier. Everybody's trying to tap into that market, right? But for the African founders, they probably have that leverage of the local knowledge of some of the cultural
Difference.
understanding,
Yeah.
yeah, and all of that. How can they leverage this when they're expanding? Just to have like a foot in ahead of their foreign competition, who probably have bigger banks and
Yeah.
to spend.
Well, I mean, culture is important. So, I mean, let me just say, for us at Fintech Association of Nigeria, we're an inclusive association. Our mantra is to drive digital inclusion, not financial inclusion, but digital inclusion. And
Hmm.
because, let's face it, people don't pay for payments; you pay for services.
Mm.
So, it's the verticals that are important. People pay for food, for transport, for health, for education. So the health tech, the agri tech, the insure tech, and what's it called, are really areas that we need to grow, because if you grow them, then the payment processors have their businesses can grow. So I think that culture is important. Really, do people what is peculiar to a particular, let's take, for example, the agricultural sector. I mean, farmers that are not financially inclusive, why are they not there? I mean, at times we tend to sell, come and open an account. But no, everybody wants value. So what's the value offering for them? So for a farmer in particular, you might discover that his challenges is that, look, risks that are associated with farming, snake bites, scorpion bites,
Hmm.
um, um, what's it called? Domestic accidents or accidents on the farm, you trip, and things like that. So, I mean, if you're going to marketing, why are you not selling those values? Look, if you buy 2 bags of fertilizer, you get free health to treat malaria or to treat an injury. If you do what's it called,
Hmm.
I mean, so those are values that people want. So I think that culture is important. What do people want? My mom is 88. I don't think she has operated her account in the last 25 years. She's not interested
Wow.
because I mean, every time she goes to the bank, she has to sign her signature in the days of checkbook. So after a while, she got tired of it, and then she stopped running her account. And then when anybody wants to give her money, she says, "Send them to me." She says she has my account number. They will send her money to me. But at that age, my dad is 90. At their ages, I mean, they have health challenges due to as a result of age. So if you go to them and you're marketing maybe micro health insurance or something, it's extremely important that those who want to go into go into a new environment must really understand the cultures, how they differ. I mean, so the level of literacy will affect the kind of solutions you provide in those locations. So I think that it's extremely, extremely important. And I mean, you can see even some of the foreign people are being smarter. I mean, look, take a Stripes, for example. Stripes came into Nigeria. They just bought Paystack rather than trying to start afresh because they understand
Yeah.
what the
Yeah.
issues are and they already have solutions that are working. So why do you want to reinvent the wheel? so so it's important that
Yeah. So,
your strategy for every market should be different based on what you're looking at.
hmm.
Hmm.
So as they do this, what are the challenges they face? We know that infrastructure is possibly one of the challenges that they face. We know that even understanding of the market sometimes we're talking about culture, but there are other challenges they may face. Maybe possibly
Government as
language,
well.
government policies. But from your own end, what are the challenges for African founders? As they try to expand their frontiers.
I think the challenges are mostly government and regulators, let me put it that way. I mean, because policies vary from one country to the other, regulations vary from one country to the other, the ease of doing business varies from one country to the other. So, I mean, you're already established in Nigeria, you want to go to another country, you're starting all over again. So, we hope that the AFCFTA program or concept will help to look at those issues where at least regulators can come together and look at some common areas. I mean, that's what's it called. So if I'm already registered, if I already have a license with the Central Bank of Nigeria and then I want to go into Rwanda, I mean, they should be talking to the central bank and say, look, uh, from this checklist, is there anything on this checklist that this person has not met that is not on your own checklist? And those are the issues they're looking at rather than starting all over, all over again. I mean, so I think that those are areas that I mean, you need to people need to look at because you have to start, you have to register a new business, you have to go to the regulator, you have to. So those are things that affect. I mean, so even let me take it. So a fintech coming into Nigeria from anywhere, it takes, depending on the issues you have, an average of 6 months if you're very good to get a license from a regulator here, and it could be 1 year, it could be even be longer. So, I mean, if we now replicate that across Africa, that's a huge challenge. I mean, it should not be that's that challenging, but I mean, it's a big problem. I think one thing about Africa that we like silos, and how do we break from those silos? And it's not even here. I mean, you want to have two licenses from the same regulator, you start all over. Despite the
Yeah.
fact they have an existing license, you start all over because even within a regulator, within that a building, there is no interoperability in terms of how it works. So it's a huge problem that regulators need to deal with. I mean, obvious technology can resolve a lot of these issues,
Mm.
and I think that the more we start to see more reg tech and sub-tech solutions with the regulators to be able to address issues of licensing and compliance and monitoring, I think it will make life easy. But how do we ensure interoperability regionally. And I think that's
Mm.
what can make it
I know
easier
that I
for
was in
people
a
to be able to do
session.
business.
I was in a session where we talked about government policies. So a lot of somebody mentioned that a lot of African governments do not consider the market before they start releasing those policies. They don't put the founders or the innovators
Innovations.
on the table. To talk to them about the policies. You just assume
I
that
mean,
this is how it
we
should be.
we can literally point to one that happened in Nigeria recently,
Exactly.
right? I mean,
Let's not call out names.
okay.
So you said something about interoperability. So that's where our next question will come from. But damn it, take that.
Okay, so beyond the whole regulation for government and all of that, there's still some other challenges that are unique to different locations. You're talking about what's it called? You're talking about infrastructure, power, something as little as power, internet, and all those things. They are major. And when you are crossing countries, you are getting into new zones, you are getting into new spaces. Your problems is new,
Yeah.
afresh, and you have to battle that Goliath. So how do businesses, African founders, how do they resolve this when they are expanding? Also, access to capital, because you
Yeah.
need capital to expand, and for many of them, capital is not so flushy.
Even human
Especially,
capital.
especially exactly, human capital is also there. And in recent times, our VC funding has been at an all-time low in recent years.
Yeah.
That's also an issue. So how do founders, move around all of this to get their goals?
So, infrastructure issues are what's it called? Issues that cut across the whole of Africa. I mean, and so it's a risk issue. So if you're starting business, those are risks that you need to look at, and how do you manage those risks? Is it worth your while going there? If you cannot mitigate those risks, is it still profitable for you to go there if you cannot mitigate those risks? Because I mean, the truth is that government will move at its pace. I mean, we are saddled with leadership that God help us. But then, in the midst of all of that, I mean, you need to look at each location and what are the peculiarities. How do you mitigate those risks? It's the elephant in the room. I mean, it's like saying that there's traffic in Lagos. I mean, there's traffic in Lagos. So if you have an appointment, you plan around it. So I don't think that we know the problem is there. I don't think it's something we should complain about. It's something that we all should look at. How do we mitigate this risk? What can I do better? How can I get around it? I mean, look at Sterling Bank today. The head office is now run on solar. That is a solution. So,
Hmm.
I mean, people have to start looking at alternatives. So, how do you go around this? And I'm sure that like a Sterling Bank, in the next 5 years, they will probably one of the most profitable because their running cost is going to drop significantly in terms of
Power, yeah.
power. So I think that those are things that we all need to start looking at. What are the alternatives in the absence of good governance? If I'm sorry to use that word, but that's the reality. Because I don't think that it should really be this bad with the resources that we have, not able to provide power. I mean, I was in the banking sector, so I was privy to some of the contracts that were issued. I mean, some years ago on power, some of the things that happened on it. So it's just it's a people issue. It's a government issue. So there are things that, as far as a business person, these are risks. So they're there. I mean, we all do it. I mean, we all probably run our own governments practically. You have your generator, you have your borehole, you have your security, you have everything. So those are risks that you have to look at, and how do you mitigate those risks and still be profitable. And I think that's what's really important. They will vary from one country to the other. So if you're expanding, what are the peculiarities here? What are the alternative solutions? What can I do differently, and how can I still be profitable? And I think that's really what entrepreneurs need to consider.
Yeah, so this next one is still on human capital. We know that a lot of times companies, bring in foreign expertise instead of looking inwards, and it's a conversation that would continue going on even for decades after now. If you see our road construction, you're seeing white people. You see people are building houses, and you are not seeing any black person. The black people are the ones carrying the cement and all of that. So it happens in tech too. Many times we see people outsourcing
Engineering and all of that.
we see that a lot, and you keep wondering, so we have these talents here? So that's where the question comes from. how can African founders, balance, the need for local talent with their desire, to bring in foreign expertise, and resources when expanding their businesses. So, for instance, a Nigerian is going to South Africa and is talking about bringing somebody from India because they think the Indian understands that space better. But you're going to South Africa. So, how do you balance something like that?
Well, so skills is a major challenge. In 2020, together with EY at Fintech Nigeria and EY, did a study, Fintech Association in Nigeria, and what came across board and in all the 21 sectors that we have a membership was skills gap. So it's a huge problem. In 2019, I remember one of the big techs that approached us, they were looking for 500 developers. Where are they? So we have a huge skills challenge. So, I mean, in going to a place, you want to, what are the available skills and what are the other skills that you need to to bring in. So the issue of having foreigners, I don't think that we can run away from it from now. What we're trying to do at Fintech Nigeria, I will tell you, is the fact that we realize this problem and we set up a series, DigiEquip series, named Digital Equipping. So we have three training programs under that program. We have DigiStuds, and DigiStuds means digital students. It's a CSR program. We've already trained 400 students in public universities on web design, graphic design, Python language, data analytics, UX, CX, and but the purpose is to be able to create the appetite for digital interest in them, and we've already since we've onboarded a lot of them to freelance sites, and some of them are already building websites for people, doing graphic designs and things like that, but they're not ready for work. So the other initiative is called DigiCorps, which is targeted at those in the National Youth Service. We're working on that initiative, trying to talk to the NYSC Directorate so that we can do the same capacity development for them. They're the ones ready to go to work. And those who now want to become like software engineers and things like that, programmers, we can board them for advanced programs, which are being worked on. So we need to build capacity, but you see, it's beyond just what we are doing. We cannot run a digital economy on a faulty foundation. Our whole educational system needs to change. You can see what Kenya is doing. In primary school now and secondary school, you have to learn coding. So we need to really put money where our mouth is. It's not just about writing these things on paper. Really, we need to really take action if we're serious about it, or else we're going to have a lot of our foreign exchange. We keep talking about foreign exchange, but we have to pay because we don't have the skills, or we don't have enough skills, if I put it that way. So that's why people have to bring in foreigners, because we haven't created that environment for those skills to develop. And that's what India has done. I mean, India's biggest export today is tech skills. So I think that it's something that we need to take very seriously. I mean, it's not just it's a challenge. I mean, so you want to run a business, you have to find the right people to do the business. So I think that it's not about emotions really, but I mean, and those are the realities that we all have to that we all have to face.
So you
mentioned the skills.
You mentioned this
get it somewhere else.
You mentioned digital, you mentioned DigiCore, but you not mentioned Digi professionals. In case I want to switch careers.
Okay, sorry. Okay, great. So the last one is called DigiSkills. DigiSkills is for people already working, organizations who want to provide capacity building for their staff. We're partnering with CIBN and FSI for fintech certification in Nigeria. That should start in October. Apart from that, we do trainings. For example, we work with the Insurance Association. We've done trainings on digital transformation for their members. I think we've done 3 trainings now, and they were already talking about the 4th one this year in the last 3 years. So we worked with NICAB to train lawyers also. So I mean, those are things we do under the DigiSkills series. So I mean, so if you want to change career, of course, you probably go for a certification or go on a course, or attend webinars, master classes, and all the things that you need. A whole lot of
all right, just following up to this question, I know you mentioned like number of things that Fintech Nigeria is doing, but for the average founder of a startup out there, do you think they should invest in building talent as well, as it is something they would need in the future? And how do they balance it with the current jackpot?
Exactly, Jackpot syndrome.
You build a talent for 6 months, it becomes super.
It now runs away.
And it leaves your company, and I mean, you've invested maybe millions already for a startup that is still just, growing. You've
Yeah.
invested millions in the guy, and after 6 months, it leaves and goes away. What do you do?
So I think that it's the work culture has changed. Like say we want to play the ostrich. The Gen Zs do not do one job. There's no Gen Z I know that does not have a side also. So even when I'm interviewing people, the first question I ask them that, do you have a side also? If you tell me no, I know you're lying, so you're not meant for this place. But so why it's good to know so that it helps you to be able to. So that and that's what really happened. So we're constricting them. They don't want to be constricted interview. And when they got there, he told them that they made him an offer. He said, "Well, I have to go back to Nigeria and go and resign from my current job." And he said, "No, no, no, no. You don't have to resign your job. Why do you have to resign your job? You can do the two jobs. Look, there's a time difference. You work here. I think what's happening there, we're not allowing people to adapt. Why can't the guy work here and also work for a foreign company? So you're enjoying what's it called? But because we restrict them, they just move out. So I think that the work cultures needs to change. Of course, capacity building. If you don't invest in people, of course, you're not going to get anything. That's why you see that the traditional banks, I mean, the incumbents, they invest a lot in training, and that's why you what's it called? They can be where they are. So fintechs also need to invest, or startups need to invest in capacity building. I mean, it's a risk. There's no doubt. I agree with you. It's a risk. People can leave, but then you'll have added value. And structures are important. That's why I mean it's good that if as a startup you put structures in place so that if one
Mm.
person.
Maybe someone else
Mhm.
takes over.
But I think that if people have a career plan, you know what their expectations are, and you can build around those expectations. That's the new work culture, either we like it or not. And
Mm.
I think that that's the way to that's the way to go. I mean, that's the culture of the Gen Zs, and except you're playing the ostrich. I have a friend who has a law firm. She said she interviewed over 60 lawyers, and the longest any one of them has stayed in any organization was 9 months.
Wow.
They were
What?
just they just moved. And it's because they want to do other things and you want to restrict them. What's it called? They don't want to be restricted. They want to have some flexibility. So you can't
Mm.
run the new work culture is able to have those flexibilities around what people do, but they still give you value. You both agree what your value means to you as an organization. They must deliver those values and they can also do their own values. I think
Mm.
that
Mm.
we have to face those realities.
Mm.
So future of work 2.0, productivity
I mean,
over
2
attendance.
2.0.1.
Okay. Okay. So to the next one, it's about partnership. Earlier you had there mentioned about Stripe
Yeah.
coming to
Yeah, and
Nigeria
buying
or
Paystack.
expanding to Africa, and they just bought Spitstack straight up, right? Up until recently, maybe 2020, when we had the first maybe merger in terms of startup, proper startup, merger. I think it was this Ghanaian pharmaceutical startup by Gregory Roxon, M Pharma. I think they had a merger with, or they bought over one startup, and up until recently we didn't really have much of that.
Yeah.
It
MAs
was
are not a thing in Africa,
yeah,
like
it
I say.
wasn't a thing, but it's becoming a thing now. And what's your opinion about that? What's your thoughts? Is this something you think should be a thing, or you think people should just expand?
So there's a word that bigger is better.
Mm.
So at times they say it's too big to fail. So I
Mm,
think that people should look at where they can collaborate so that you can have a bigger pie. I think collaboration for us at Fintech Nigeria, we actually preach collaboration. Look at how you can work together. It might not be merging, but I mean, look at how you can do business, how to share. I think it's critical that everybody starts to look at that. I mean, we can see the challenge in the ecosystem globally, and what is happening. So I think that you just have to look for areas where you can collaborate, where you can merge and what have you. So and be bigger so that you can weather the storms, And I think that beyond that, also cultures. I mean, the work model will change. So what has made the likes of InterSwitch, unified payments, system specs to be 20 years and above, e-transact? what what the model. I mean, it's what's it called, it's governance, structure, innovation. So all those things need to come into place. So and having the right model. So people will have to change I think we need to change some mindsets of some of the practices we have in the ecosystem also.
Talking about mindset.
So Africa is ready for mergers and acquisitions. That's good.
Amen. Because interoperability is actually a big thing in Nigeria. It's a big issue right here in Nigeria, not about across Africa.
Yes, it is a big issue.
Yeah, so talking about changing mindset, I know that a lot of founders, or we assume that a lot of founders think that once they are talking about expansion plans, it means that they are succeeding. It's like a success point for them, but we know that it's beyond that. It's not just going into Ghana from Nigeria, or going into Kenya from Nigeria, or going into SA. It's beyond that. Are you succeeding where you are? So that's where the next question comes from. How do you measure success beyond that? Just opening office in another market. How do you measure success? And what metrics should they focus on? To evaluate their progress. We know that also corporate. We talked about corporate. One of our episodes talk about corporate governance. Even within Nigeria, it's a big issue. So people just open companies. Their corporate governance is almost dead. It's almost there. That's why we have issues.
2022 was lots of cans being opened about bad leadership, but terrible organizations, and
so will they go into those other markets, and take that, that disposition into the other market? So what are the things we use to measure success, when we are talking about expansion?
So for me, success is about legacy. So what are you building? Are you just expanding because you want to be seen, or you're building a legacy? So when you're building a legacy, the things that constitute success are governance, structure, innovation, adaptability, acceptability. What's the patronage level as you move into those as you expand? If you're expanding, and we are talking about skills. People are critical for success. Who are the people behind which speaks to governance really? Who are the people on your board? Who are the people in management? What are the team that runs the place? They constitute a whole lot to success. So if you're expanding and things are collapsing, and we've seen that. That you talk about 2022, so we can see a lot of that. So what's the capacity that you have to that's what I'm saying. It's about legacy. It's not just about expanding. When you expand, what's the legacy that will follow that? What have you built? That will sustain that expansion. And I think for me, that's what measures success. It's not about. Profit is good. Of course, everybody's in the business to make profit, but you've seen people who are profitable and have collapsed. So it's not just even in banks. You see, banks have collapsed and they were profitable, but because in banks it's about liquidity, it's about what's it called, capitalization, it's about asset quality and things like that. So it's a legacy. What legacy are you building? And what governance structure do you have in place? Are you doing the right things? Is this business going to outlive you? And which is a challenge we've had in Africa. Growing up, we knew a lot of industries and things like that existed, and today they're not existing. That's because they revolved around individuals and not around structures. So, and that's what we need to start changing. We need to start building structures. And that's the problem we also have in government, because government also revolves around individuals and not structures. We need to build institutions, and not just around, individuals, a founder or co-founder. And if anything happens to those people, then that's the end. No, it should not be like that. So I think that, for me, that's the measure of success, that a business can outlive you,
I actually agree with that, because I have an hypothesis.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I see a startup that says it operates in Nigeria, and I can, in my circle, I don't know anybody that uses that startup. And the next thing, the startup raises $5 million, you hear they're expanding to Kenya, you hear they're expanding to Rwanda or Pakistan, and I'm like,
how?
Where?
That's where my next question comes from, actually. So when do you think it is time for an African founder to say, let's expand? When we talk about tech, we are talking about solutions, right? We are saying you are solving a particular problem, whether it's a financial problem or a HR problem, or insurance problem. So when Like many
You
of
haven't
the
even solved
many,
the one in
many
Nigeria.
of the people that are, many of the companies or founders I've seen that have expanded beyond Nigeria, I don't know, they've not solved the problem here yet. We have so many fintech companies, but we
We experienced January to
exactly,
March.
you see, when there was a cash
Like it
crunch.
was.
So how are people expanding? So when do you think it is time? That's the question to you now. When do you think it is time for an African founder to say, okay, you know what, let's go to Ghana, let's go to SA from Nigeria?
Well, what, and that's where the concept of success comes in. What defines you in your existing market that you think that you have conquered that market and you are moving to new markets? Of course, moving to new markets are a factor of the opportunities there that you've seen and the potentials there that you've seen. There's a market there. So I mean, there will be business decisions for moving into a new market. So for each institution, I think that they have to make those decisions. It's a tough thing for me to say this is what constitutes when you should expand. It's a function of, do I think that I've conquered enough, I've captured enough market in this location, and I want to move into a new market. I know that's where I keep saying that governance comes to play. I mean, look, I remember that when the likes of InterSwitch, Unified Payments started, the people who were on the board. I mean, I was on board of Value Card. Value Card was which is our Unified Payments, was mostly banks that were shareholders. I was representing a bank on the board. So you had people on the board who provide guidance. Even the Yorubas, there's a proverb that is the wisdom of the youth and that of the elderly that was used to build the city of Ife. So, I mean, you need to have, so we encourage startups have advisors who are people who should be people who are experienced and can guide you to make the right decisions. I mean, don't think that because people are old, I've seen forum where people say that all those people, they are too old. Anybody above 40, you should not be talking. They don't know fintech. They don't what's called. You see all of those
Yes.
exuberances in a way, but the reality is that we all have to work together. I mean, the people who are older have seen things you haven't seen, and they're able to. So I think that even if you don't want to have them on your board, have them as advisors, so you can have advisors who help you. Guide and look at the things that you're doing. I mean, so I think that that decision is every organization will make that decision. I think that I've done well here. I want to go here because I've seen this. And of course, the factors that you think, those are the factors that you determine those factors yourself. But you've seen an opportunity that you want to take advantage of in the new market. But have you conquered where you are? Those are questions that everybody have to answer for themselves.
All right.
That's solid. That's solid. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So, thank you very much, Dr. Babatunde. This has been an insightful conversation.
That's the word, insightful.
Yeah, it's been an insightful one. Maybe permit me to be Oliver Twist. Just one last one.
Okay.
The merger between the youngies and the oldies, all right? Are there platforms for this to happen? We have young innovators now who have amazing ideas, but you can literally see that they're not getting it right. We're having shutdowns, we're having layoffs, but we see the big guys are fine. Like, they are fine. So are there platforms where these two come together? Is this something that Fintech Nigeria offers? Yeah.
An acquisition.
No, not necessarily acquisition, but like a place where they can all come and get advices and all of that, like you mentioned.
Okay, so there are two things we're doing. We have what you call the Regulator Forum. Regulator means regulators and innovators. It's a forum to bring in regulators and innovators to the table. Either we like it or not, innovation is always ahead of regulation. But how do we bridge that engagement? So we meet quarterly and we have reps from CBN, SEC, NDIC, NFIU, NCC, NITDA, NICOM, FCC, PC, at director levels. And we meet quarterly with members of the ecosystem to discuss issues that affect the ecosystem. That's the starting point. The second one is that we've set up what they call a startup marketplace. It's supposed to be a place where startups can register their services. And we're also encouraging providers, consultants, law firms, and all other providers to come onto that space. So if you have an issue, you can throw it up and they're willing to provide services for you at a discounted rate because it's on the platform of the startup marketplace. That was opened up the portal, but we had some challenges with it. So we're rebuilding the portal portal again. So those are the two initiatives that we're starting for now, to be able to address the issues of the ecosystem, because we need to deal with the regulator issues. We need to deal with
Very important.
investor and
Yeah,
startup
yeah, it's the investor thing too.
startup
Yeah.
issues. So yeah, how do we create those nexuses so that the ecosystem can grow?
Right, right.
Growth, expansion.
I'm excited for the African tech ecosystem. I think we've had a very good run, yeah. And over the last few months or 1 year, we're having the bad run.
Investor
If you can-
party.
Yeah, if you can call it that. I think, like everybody says, there is always what's morning after the night, right? I feel like after we're done with this phase of purging the bad eggs and all of that, the next few years will be boom.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
Hallelujah. So thank you, Dr. Babatunde. This, as he said, this has been insightful. We're going to learn a lot from this. So Dami, you want to?
Yeah, thank you, sir. So just before we go, it's our culture, yeah. Do you have social media handles or Fintech Nigeria social media handles that people could follow and get more insights about all of this that you've discussed and more, of course?
You can share your own too.
Yeah, you can share yours too,
Yeah.
so that people can connect.
Yes. So I mean, fintech handles are just fintech NGR at fintech NGR, either LinkedIn or
Twitter.
Instagram or Twitter. So it's fintech NGR.
Okay,
Alright.
great. How about yours? Maybe LinkedIn.
My own handle. Oh,
Yes.
Well, I said on Twitter it's at Obrimah. On Instagram
Okay.
is Obrimah, and on Facebook is Babatunde Obrimah. On LinkedIn is Dr. Babatunde Obrimah.
All
Great,
right.
great.
Thank you so much.
I'm sure our listeners will connect so that they can get more.
So we'll continue the conversation.
Yeah. Thank you very
If
much.
you want to find me, Omole Omori, anywhere, everywhere, just the name is unique, so you're not going to have problems finding me.
Yeah. Mine is Akdown07, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn at Oluwadamilare Akinpelu. Yeah.
All right, so I've come to the end of this. Till we meet again next week.
All right.
This is episode 35, so you can binge listen to all the other episodes 1 to 34. Trust me, you will love it. So like, comment, share, engage with it as much as you can, or however you can, and thank us later.
Yeah.
for
Don't forget to
directions.
subscribe.
Don't forget to subscribe.
All right. Thank you.